Hi, you guys, and welcome back for my third video of the week. Who would have thought I would end up getting 3 done in a week? This will actually be 4 because I have one to film right after this. So as the title shows you, ooh, I already fell out of focus once. We are going to be discussing my final review, final thoughts on the Darn Good Yarn box. So first off, I'd like to say I've noticed, that's the problem with wearing something that's fashionable. I actually found a plus size shirt that's not black or white. Tonight's date night, so I'm gonna throw a sweater on, we'll go to church, and then have date night. I'm looking forward to it. It's kind of our celebration to the end of Christmas decorating downstairs, and now I can start turning my focus to getting ready for our Christmas party. Anyway, so I wanted to start off by saying I've noticed a lot of people throwing shade and pouring out some haterade for the Darn Good Yarn subscription box. And first off, I'd like to say I think it's very unfair without explaining what Darn Good Yarn is. They are more or less their entire company is based on renewable resources, recycling waste from the clothing industry, fabric industry. There is a lot of waste out there. And to me, I think you need to take a step back and look at the whole company before you judge the $10 subscription box. I do have coffee today and a little parched. It's a mooky, wet, rainy day, so coffee all day, every day. So I've been aware of Darn Good Yarns for a very long time, and I've mentioned this before. I was actually aware of them because of their recycled sari silk skirts. I find their corporate philosophy to be the most intriguing thing about them. I am a huge advocate of being conservative with your waste. I'm not big on being eco-friendly necessarily, but I do believe in conservation. I'm not an advocate of, getting rid of straws. I think we need to be more in tune, though, with how we reduce, reuse, and recycle. And Darn Good Yarns is a company that also believes in the same thing. And particularly in the fabric industry and the garment industry, we have a lot of waste internationally. It's not just the US, it's an international problem. And they employ Indian artisans. They are using recycled materials. A lot of their fabrics and things like that actually come out of the waste from production. And I really appreciate that. And I really like that. I also enjoy things that are a little bit different sometimes. And, we get, sometimes as in particularly crocheters and knitters, we tend to get fatigued in what we're using, and nothing is exciting us. We lose our crojo, we lose our ability or desire to sit down and work with something because we're just not excited by anything, and we need something different. And to me, that's really what Darn Good Yarn's subscription box is. You're not getting a large quantity of yarn. It's not like Knit Crate where you're getting really good value amounts of yarn compared to what you would get at, say, your local yarn store or your LYS. You're getting with Knit Crate, you get a perceived high-end yarn at a very reasonable price. I mean, you're getting 2 skeins for $24. That's a really good price. Things how if you went to your local yarn store, that same yarn is going to be $24 a hank. You're getting it for $24 for 2. So you're getting a really good value and deal with Knit Crate on high-end things, and it's a great way to once you've learned knitting, once you've learned crochet, and you want to try something more expensive, more luscious, more of a luxury, but you don't want to spend, $50 on a hank of Angora because you're never going to use it. You're going to be afraid to use that. I have a little ball of Angora that I keep just for petting. It's a Malbrigo. So I'm very familiar with that phenomena of you don't use it because you're afraid once it's used, it's gone. And that's something I've spent a lot of 2018 trying to break myself out of. I've got a yarn set aside for myself. It's been in my stash now for 3 years. It's a mulberry silk in peacock blue. I got it from the big annual sale at Knit Picks years ago, and I've been afraid to use it. And I'm trying to break myself of that habit. Knit Crate offers you an opportunity, though, to try those yarns, things with silk content, merino content, some of the gorgeous Stellina yarns for sock knitting, cowls, hats. You're getting it at such a reasonable price, you're not afraid to use it. You're not afraid to make a mistake with it. Darn Good Yarns is something very different, though. They give you a very small quantity of yarn, and it is something exciting, different. It gives you an opportunity to branch out in something very different and something you wouldn't necessarily see at your local yarn store. Now, unfortunately, in the 3 months I was with them, I only got the recycled silks. I didn't get any of the yak yarn that they sell or a gorgeous sport weight or fingering weight yarn with little beads on it and stuff. Those do come in the larger 100-gram hanks. What you're getting with this box is 50-gram hanks, or at least the 3 months I was subscribed to them. So I did cancel my subscription with them. Unfortunately, I can't stay subscribed to everything I enjoy over the course of this because I would be spending $250 a month in just subscription yarns. And at that point, I wouldn't be able to use them all. But I will say Darn Good Yarn is a company. If they were to come to me and say, hey, we liked your content, would you consider still unboxing our yarn? I would feel completely confident and comfortable in doing something like that because I do think their corporate philosophy is amazing. And I really enjoyed what I got. I've said, I do wish there was more yarn. So if you didn't necessarily like the pattern, like 1 month, I didn't really care for the pattern because I didn't think it was something I would ever use, and it's not my style at all. So I do wish you got a little bit more with it, but I also understand based on the pricing of their yarns, why you're only getting a 50-gram ball too. So there is give and take. There are pros and cons with Darn Good Yarn. If this isn't the kind of thing you want, if you're not interested in working with this, that's definitely not the company you want to spend your $10 plus $3 shipping with. And that's okay. I think that's perfectly fine. But like I said, I really think that there's been a lot of shade and haterade thrown out on a lot of videos because the people reviewing the subscription box didn't know what to expect, didn't understand what the company's philanthropy and goal was. I think there was a big misunderstanding. They were expecting Knit Crate and got this instead. So like I said, I overlapped Knit Crate with this accidentally, but when I saw the deal on the first box, like I was aware of the company before, so I knew what to expect when I got it. So I've got a slightly different perception and perspective when it came to it. So I've got my box of stuff here laid out around me. The only thing I'm missing actually are the knitting needles and the crochet hook that came with the first set. Those are actually packed in my in with the Prayer Shawl Ministry stuff, because if somebody forgets their needles or somebody just needs a hook that day, I wanted to have that in there because they're not things I'm going to use. The free hook and needles I used the needles to make my first cowl out of what I keep calling the jelly bean yarn. It's worsted weight roving in watercolors. Get that. The paint wore off. That was my biggest complaint with them. They knitted fine, and I actually really liked the short length on them, but they're an ombre painted design, and it's acrylic paint over a sealed wood. So as you worked with them, that paint immediately came off the tips. And I did see one other reviewer who that was her biggest issue with her first box too, was she used the crochet hook and the friction of the yarn going back and forth. Sorry, there's still paper down here from my unboxing of the holiday market, and Pippin is trying to make himself a bed out of it. But yeah, so this is the cowl I made for my first month. And like I said, I actually prefer the wrong side. Just because I think it spots a little bit more. I like the fleck to it, but it's just a... By the end of this, I'm going to be... Well, let's just take out the glasses. That'll help a little bit. So it's not something I would normally wear. It's not something I would normally make. I don't do cowl necklaces. I almost never wear a cowl to begin with. That is slowly changing. It's very pretty. If this is your fashion sense, I actually thought this was a lot of fun, and it's a great way to jazz up a very basic plain outfit, and particularly because the colors are so bright and juicy and wonderful. A couple of people said that they thought it looked dusty, or I don't know how else to... Dusty was the right word. I really think it looks dusty. But I think part of that is from the dyeing process. I have not soaked this yet, so it still has the industrial laundry smell, but it's far reduced. It's been airing out now for 3 months, so the scent on this one is definitely down. But yeah, I had really no issue. I did have a break in this. There was a thin spot that split and ripped. But you know, we get that from regular mass produced yarn too. I had issues with that with actually one of the Knit Crate yarns. The blue speckled Uru yarn that I used to do the crocheted stole. Same thing happened with that. So I had to cut out a section and actually weave in my ends for that. But yeah, I liked the colors quite a bit. The quality of the dye I thought was really nice. I've used some recycled silks before where the dyeing on it was over dyed, and I got color on my fingertips. It stained some needles I was working with. So to me, the quality was there. I just wish there was more of it, so we could have done something a little bit different with this. I would have liked to see, actually, with this, one of the ascot cowls that kind of tie. I think that would be really cute. I have a crochet pattern that I'm dying to try, and this would have been really good for that. It's silk. So as with cotton and stuff, wear and usage is actually going to make it softer. It is a little bit stiff. And like I said, it's a little bit drying on the hands to work with because it is a natural fiber that's not from an animal. Animal fibers all have lanolin in them, so it doesn't really bother my hands at all. It doesn't dry my hands out, but and particularly plant-based fibers tend to be very drying for me. But all in all, I was very pleased. It's just, you know, not my necessarily fashion sense. I have decided since, though, to keep it. It's the kind of thing I might decide to wear. And if I haven't worn it in the next year, I might gift it, donate it. But for now, I'm going to keep it. That was one of the 2 for boxes. So the other yarn I got with it was actually Sport Weight Silk and Caribbean Current. Now, once again, unfortunately, my printer's actually broken. I didn't forget to print the pattern. I will try to take a picture and maybe stick it up here real quick of what it should have been. But I did not receive the pattern for this. And another pro of Darn Good Yarns is, you know, as it's been pointed out, I am well under 100 subscribers, but they found my video somehow. And somebody reached out from Darn Good Yarns and asked me if I'd like a copy of the pattern, even though I had made other stuff with the yarn, would I still like to have the pattern? And I thought that was an amazing corporate practice. to reach out to somebody who is incredibly unknown and try to rectify the problem. I wish I had realized there was supposed to be a pattern so I could have contacted them sooner, because the little clutches are super cute. And I really wanted to crochet. I wanted to knit one and crochet one to give it a balanced test, because there are a lot of fibers out there. They knit great, but crochet horrible. Like Karen's Simply Soft, I hate crocheting with it. But I don't mind knitting with it so much, aside from I don't like how sticky it is on my needles. So what I ended up making with this one was I did a doily. And look at that color, y'all. I mean, you got the fleck of like the royal blue, almost purple. You've got this beautiful fuchsia in there. You've got this very rich aqua all on this light blue base. This will actually go on one of the side tables in my front sitting room with my blue chairs. Hopefully I'll get a video filmed in there soon, because I have my Christmas tree up in there. But yeah, this I thought was gorgeous to work with. Very much like working with a lightweight cotton. This was a very quick pattern. I found this one off of Ravelry. I'll try to remember to anything that I didn't get from the Darn Good Yarn pattern bin or pattern things. I will try to link down below. I also made 4 of these stars. I've got... So, I mean, this yarn went a really long way, to be honest. It was, once again, 50 grams, I believe. Yeah, 50 grams, 200 yards. All their yarns I've gotten were 50 gram balls. This was reclaimed silk. This one doesn't say, it just says handmade in India for the roving. The other thing I made out of it was just a pineapple motif. I didn't do a very good job down here. Something got twisted in my stitches there, but... And look at, I mean, these have been sitting folded, and particularly the doily. These have been sitting folded in an IKEA bin for 2 months now. And look at how nicely it's held the blocking. I mean, this still lays out perfectly flat. So that's something I hadn't realized. And apparently that's fairly common with silk. It holds its blocking a little bit longer than cotton does. And it doesn't, like dry folding it, doesn't seem to bother it quite as much. Learn something new every day. But this one I was super excited about. I really, genuinely loved the colors on this. Oh, it's not gonna... So that one was super exciting. Right up my color alley. So that was my first month with them. And at that point I kind of felt iffy. The needles weren't great. The watercolor was not quite my style. I love it. I love the colors. I love the yarn, but the cowl is not really my style. And with 75 yards of worsted weight, I didn't have a whole lot of options of other patterns, and in particular, because that was my first box, I really wanted to use the pattern they provided for the yarn. So there was that. That would, by the way, that blue would have made a gorgeous clutch. The pictures are stunning. So the next thing I did, or the next box I got, was this purple yarn. And I still haven't had time to get my sewing machine out, but it was a hat pattern. And not that I have a big head, but these little skull cap style hats just, well, you get the idea. That's just not something I would wear. And I really like this lavender color. As I've said before, you can kind of see where there's this gray flecking through it. It's actually almost a strand that goes through it that's kind of slubby. But it adds such dimension to the fabric. I really enjoyed it. But this is going to be turned into a little project bag. I'm going to do a muslin drawstring bag. And I'm going to do this as an exterior applique to it. So the last thing I got was I did the unboxing for Thanksgiving, was this gray yarn, and it is called Stormy Day Speckled Tweed Recycled Silk. It's so funny because I had literally just finished my gray Vanna Choice hat that had rainbow in it. Now this is much deeper. It's another cowl. I did do the knit pattern for this one. I almost did the crochet pattern, but I like the way the knit pattern laid a little bit more. Once again, the short cowl is not necessarily my style, but it looks nice. And it's a nice alternative to a necklace. That's what this is more like. It's more like jewelry versus, comfort wear, warm bundle up stuff. I don't wear a lot of stuff up around my neck. I have a fairly short neck from the bottom of my chin to my collarbone. So I don't normally do a lot of decorative scarves unless they're like 2003 Haley Duff kind of stuff, or Hillary Duff. But it's very nice, and this would have also been good for some of the men in your life. I liked the yarn. I had no splits with this one, no problems with this one. Working with it was a breeze. I did have a little bit left over, so I might come back. Some of y'all are aware of the fact I've been trying to work scraps as much as possible. So I might come back and do something that's enough for, a little something, an applique or something like that. But what I did was, this is the crocheted pattern. And this is the pattern I use, the knit pattern. The patterns are made to work up very, very quickly. They're very easy. They're beginner-friendly patterns. If you're wanting to break that Crojo, you're really wanting to break out, and you've hit a slow point with your knitting, I would actually say Darn Good Yarn Box is a great way to break that. Every one of these projects or the 3 projects I did based on their patterns, or all three of the larger yarns, the worsted weight yarns, I did those projects in one night. So it was something to just whip up very quickly because it's only 50 grams of yarn. It's fairly easy to just crank that out real fast. Thursday night, actually, after I got done with the holiday market and filming my show and tell number 9, is actually when I did the gray cowl. So that I'm not even a whole night. That took me maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours with interruptions from my husband and the cats. So it was very, very super quick. Now I did use my Chow Goo needles for that because the yarn is a little, stiff and sticky, which is true for all natural fibers. So don't let that sound as a con for Darn Good Yarns. It's not. Most natural fibers, plant-based fibers, are a little stiff and sticky. If you've ever worked with hemp yarn, it's exceptionally stiff. But as you launder that, it just like cotton, it gets softer and more malleable. There are some amazing garments I've seen knit out of hemp yarns, and that's antimicrobial, antibacterial. So you can throw it in the back of your car wet, throw it in a gym bag wet, and it's not going to get mildewy and gross. But it's not something while you're working with it, you're going to really like that much because you do have to fight it. This I didn't have to fight, but it does have that sticky on the needle, sticky on the hook feeling to it. So let me grab my sticky note here. I've been kind of keeping, in my, this is all for all the stuff I use for my, blog and notes for, 2019 and stuff like that. I've been keeping a running tab of how I felt about the Darn Good Yarn company as a whole. And how I felt about the subscription box as a whole. So, give me just 1 second and I'll be right back. Sorry about that. You have no idea how long I was gone for. So my pros and cons list. Let's start with the negative and end with positives. The yarn has a smell to it. There's no way around it. It's a very perfumey smell. And like I said, kind of reminds me of when you're staying in a hotel, the way the laundromat or the industrial laundry room smells. That's what it reminds me of. For me, I'm very scent sensitive. If you are scent sensitive and considering getting darn good yarns, be aware of that. It would be very easy to unloop the hank, soak it in some water, hang it to dry, and then use it. I didn't find it the jelly bean one I did have, it had more of a scent than the others did. So I did have to repeatedly put the project down and walk away, come back to it. So that one did take me longer only because I had to walk away from it. The other skeins I did leave up on my Swift for a day to kind of air out, and they air out. Like I said, the smell is still there, but it's not an overpowering smell. The subsequent boxes didn't have nearly so much of a scent. Maybe that box smelled more because there was 2 skeins of yarn in there. So it just kind of got in there and like reverberated around. The first one I did have some splits with, and I marked that on here as a negative, but none of my subsequent, the next 3 skeins, I had no issue with splitting or, it's an uneven texture on some of those. And even in the thin spots, I didn't have it break on me. Sorry, Pippin has now decided he wants to be in my lap. Little kitty ears. You say hello to the camera, baby. Say hello, everyone. He says, no, I want to sleep. Leave me alone. So I think that was just a one-off, comment there. The needles depainted. They scuffed off really quickly. The ombre purple paint scuffed off very quickly. It is, I'm going to list this as a negative, but it's to me a positive. It is non-standard yarn. Once again, like I said, I am a huge advocate of being environmentally conscious and aware. But I really like using different fibers. I've used recycled sari silk before. I've used bamboo silk before. I've used banana silk before. The banana leaf silk is gorgeous. It takes color like nobody's business. Once again, fully renewable resource like bamboo. Easy to, you don't have as much manufacturing waste and processing as you do with some other fibers. Cotton can be a very, very, very bad processing. And it all depends on who you're working with. Dyeing, manufacturing, all that. It's a very industrial process to process cotton. They're using silk, but a lot of it is, like I said, it's recycled or reclaimed silk. So you're reducing waste still. But they have, to me, the opportunity to work with something different is nice. Sorry about that. Maybe I should have gone ahead and put my sweater on now. I use a lot of acrylic yarn. I use a lot of big box store yarn, and it all gets to feel the same after a while. Your projects all get to feel the same for a while, and you really need to spice it up sometimes to, regain your momentum to making things. It's not that you fall out of love with crocheting and knitting, but you really need something to reinvigorate you. And in my opinion, Darn Good Yarn is an opportunity to reinvigorate by using a different fiber. And like I said, the projects that come with it are super quick and simple. It's 50 grams of yarn. What can't you knock out in an afternoon with that? And you don't have to use their patterns. And like I didn't use their patterns for 2 of the skeins. Two out of 4, I didn't use their pattern. And I don't have a problem with that. One of the things I wanted to talk about in final reviews with these boxes is the extras. And for them, I got a pair of earrings as an extra. I got the hook and needle set as an extra. And this month I actually got jingle bells. Their extras game is 1 out of 3 were great. I do like the earrings. I've worn them twice since I got them. I do really like those. They're lightweight, easy to wear, and just add that little pop of color. 90% of my wardrobe is black and like 5% is white. So being able to add a little bit of color into my wardrobe through that is wonderful for me. I don't know what to do with the jingle bells. And like I said, the paint wearing off of the hook and needle set for me was a meh. But not using the patterns for me is not a make or break deal. That's such a subjective thing, and branching out and doing something different with the purple yarn in particular, I actually found kind of fun. I wish I'd had a little bit more to do something different with it. I probably would have actually preferred a cowl with that one, or a scarfette or something like that. A shawlette, sorry. So a little bit more yardage would have been nice, but once again, it's $10 and we're talking about a recycled product here. Positives. The colors are flippin' fantastic. Oh my goodness. I love the colors. Their dye jobs are amazing. Period. You might not necessarily like the fiber, but you cannot deny the colors are out of this world. Interesting, different, fun. I really like tweed yarn, so even the gray with the little bit of colored tweeding in it, to me, that's right up my alley. I just did a hat made out of that, a very similar kind of yarn, and I'm getting ready to make a matching scarf with it. So obviously that's something I like. I like neutrals with a pop of color. So for me, that was great. That blue in the sport weight was stunning. I love it. If I could have like 20 more balls of that, I would just be throwing it up in the air, rolling around in it. The jelly bean, once again, that's a little bright for me, but it'd be great with an all black outfit, and it's pretty. I really like it. I want to see how, I want to see if the dustiness to the color comes off with, rinsing it or soaking it. I just haven't had time to lay it out to dry is my biggest issue. Right now my craft room is a big explosion because all the holiday stuff comes through here. Right behind this bookcase is an attic, and that's where we store all of our holiday stuff. So my craft room, this entire section of my craft room has to be cleared out to move boxes and boxes and boxes out the stairs. So right now, my craft room is not a place where I can lay things out to dry, and I can't block the cats off long enough to leave things alone either. So I have not had a chance to do that, but I do want to see if that kind of knocks off some of the dusty look to it, or if that's just a dye technique innate to that style of dyeing, which could be. I've had cottons with a very similar look to them, and that's just how they looked. I've already rambled on about their corporate ethics and their customer service. Their customer service has been fantastic. They also have commented and replied to Instagram posts. Once again, I have 85 followers on Instagram. I didn't use Instagram till September. Even though I've had an account for years, I've never used my Instagram account until recently. And I am tagging them in the things that I make, but they don't have to reach out. Bernat doesn't reach out. Lion Brand doesn't reach out. Knit Crate doesn't reach out to me. I've done an unboxing with the Jimmy Bean wool. They didn't reach out to me. The only one who's reached out to me has been Darn Good Yarn. And they did it to rectify a mistake. Of all things, they admitted an error and fixed it. And how hard is that? I'm still waiting on furniture to be delivered that I bought a month ago, and I can't even get the furniture company to refund me the delivery fees. So how amazing is that part of it is being a smaller company. They have the ability to do that, but how fantastic that they admitted a mistake and fixed it. And plus, like I said, I'm really big on, in particular with the fiber industry and clothing manufacturing industries, using and reducing what's going to the landfills with that. So as far as like their corporate ethics, what their business is, and the social impact of their company, 2 thumbs up. I think it is amazing. And once again, we're specifically focusing on the boxes here, the subscription box, but go to their website and look at the other stuff they have. They have a full shop of stuff. This yarn is not even remotely an indicator of what they sell. They have a wide assortment of yarn and some animal fibers, some reclaimed fibers, so go and actually explore their store and see what they offer. If you have a very boho, casual t-shirt and skirt kind of wardrobe, look at their wrap skirts. They're very reasonably priced. They go on sale, buy two, get one free, buy one, get two free. And so for $60, you're getting a silk wrap skirt, which that's a lot of fabric. If you're not aware, a wrap skirt has a lot of fabric in it. So $65 is a really good price. And you're supporting a small company. You're supporting independent craftsmen. Really go look at their website and explore that, because the box is not indicative of their entire company. I would say the box represents 4% of the things that they offer. And once again, I've only been getting the box for 3 months. I've gotten 4 different yarns, and we're not even scratching the surface of everything that they have. So do I think it's worth $10? Yes, I do. I think it's worth $10 in what you're getting. I think it's worth the $10 in the pleasure you get in making the projects and the finished objects. So weigh that against your personal preference, though. If you're looking for something indie, different, weird, unique in your fiber collection, I would say 100% go for it. If you are, I've got friends who don't like bulky yarn, or friends who don't like natural fiber yarns. I've got a prohibition with cotton in general. So if you're a person like that, it may not be the subscription box for you, and that's fine. But if you really want to try something different, delve into some of the, and they're not even the only recycled yarn company. There are quite a few out there. So if you're interested in looking more into the recycled fiber world, this would be an amazing foray into that at a very reasonable price. I think it'd also be cool if you are looking at that, maybe doing a legacy project where you take 4 or 5 skeins over the course of a year, or over the course of your subscription, and make a longer project, or you do something with the yarns together, a year with Darn Good Yarns or something. You can have a lot of fun with the 50-gram balls if you know how to use them. If you go on Ravelry and break down, the yardage options. So if you don't like their patterns, if you're like me, you don't wear short cowls, there are other things you can make with these yarns. Like I said, I made a project bag out of one because I really liked it, and it's something I wanted to see on a regular basis. So I would say it's worth the value, but stylistically, it's probably not for everyone. And a lot of the videos that are giving very negative reviews, they are crafters who, this is not a slam against the people who didn't like it. I don't think they knew what to expect. And I don't think that they knew how to use the fibers, or that wasn't their style. So I just to be honest, I knew what to expect. I had previous awareness of the company. I knew what they sold. I had never purchased from them before, but I knew what to expect coming in. And a lot of these other people had no idea what to expect. So I don't want anybody, when I say throwing shade and haterade, I don't mean that as they're being bad or naughty or their opinion is invalid. That's their opinion because that's their style. and they didn't know what to expect. They didn't know what they were getting into with them. And I think that it's very hard to be unbiased when something catches you off guard. And I think that's what happened. But once again, Holly over at the Proper Pineapple, she got 2 boxes from them. One was to see if they had made improvements on the first box. And that plays into their customer service and their desire to make their product better. And, you know, Holly said they definitely stepped it up the second time. I still don't think necessarily this was her style, even though it's bright colors and fun colors. As a crocheter, it is definitely harder to use the bulky and worsted weight fiber, particularly in the smaller amount. So I don't think that was her style, and I don't think she really knew what to do with the fibers when she got them. And if you look at the stuff she makes, she tends to make a lot of larger projects, stockings, shawls, her stunning and amazing dolls. I've never coveted something so much in my life. The witch doll she did. Y'all, go look at the October giveaway doll she did. But yeah, I think a lot of people didn't know what to expect. They didn't know what they were getting into, and it's not their style. So after seeing 3 months with me, I hope you have a better understanding of the company, the style of yarn you're going to be getting, why I actually like it, even though it's not something I would have normally purchased, and what it can serve you as if you start losing your Crojo and stuff. To me, this would be the perfect thing to just interject something very different into your crafting. Now, these yarns would also be fantastic for non-knitting and crochet projects. Could you imagine, like this yarn? This is a bulky weight yarn. Could you imagine if you're a sewer or a seamstress doing taking this and doing like the swirled couching patterns where you wind it across the fabric and couch over it? Could you imagine how fantastic? I mean, and with all that extra texture, that would be a gorgeous pillow. If you had especially some of the nylon rainbow thread and you laid this out in a pattern and couched over it, how beautiful that would be and how complimentary that would be. So that's another thing to keep in mind. This yarn could also be used for other things that you're going to hold on to and use in a different manner in your life. So I say if you want to try something different and new and something completely unlike any other subscription box I've seen, I would give Darn Good Yarn a shot. For $13 with shipping, or at least that's what it was for me, it's like $13.95 or something, I would say it was worth it. Very different, very unique. I don't know what else to say about that. I've already somehow managed to make a 45-minute video that was supposed to be 20 minutes. So, once again, I would say give them a shot. Give them a try if you're looking to interject something different, using a new fiber, interesting colors. That's your box. That would be your box for something interesting. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Hopefully this will go up Monday morning. I'm filming on Saturday, but I have a video uploading now and another video to post tomorrow. So you guys have a wonderful day. I love you, and thank you so much for your support since I came onto YouTube, and have a wonderful week. Bye, you guys.